What's up, guys? I'm Alex.
I'm Jason. We're the Table Monkeys, and today we are going to be discussing Devon's Hill of arm wrestling technique.
Yeah, so these are all the moves that are available to you in arm wrestling from outside to inside.
And where they kind of fit on a hierarchy. Not that one's better than the other, but there's a relevance to the fundamentals, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
And this is something we've really been nerding out about a lot lately, not only because of the whole chess thing. We've been thinking of ways to compare arm wrestling to chess. Yeah. So we've got the different positions on the hill now kind of named out the way you'd have different, the different squares on the board.
E1,
all that kind of stuff. And then on top of that, because we've been trying to figure out a video game for arm wrestling, which you may have heard about. So we're really working on that. And a lot of that, the algorithm is going to come down to how these moves interact with each other.
What move works against this move, what doesn't work, what would result in the pin right away, and what would result in a counter and a hold,
Yeah, so as we start to analyze, we start to figure out where the right places to go, like Alex said, in counters and stuff to the other positions on the hill. So we just want to break down the hill real quick and give you an example of all the different positions, and then give you some examples of some of the greats doing some of their, signature transitions and where they end up on the hill.
Yeah, so let's get into our demonstrations right now.
Here we go. All right, guys, so we're just going to start at the top of the hill here. So the high hook is all the fundamentals: rise, cut, pronation, your hands inside your body, and drive your opponent to the pad. Next, we've got the hook and drag. So hook and drag is a lot of rise, a lot of cut, but more supination than pronation, and you're going to drag your opponent to the back of the pad. Next is hook and drive. So this is similar to hook and drag, but it's going to be more side pressure based. It's more about getting your wrist in contact with your opponent's wrist and driving to the side. Next is a shoulder press, and this is, again, more about getting your shoulder behind your hand and your wrist in contact with your opponent and then driving to the pad. And then finally is the flat press, where you give up your hand in order to get your shoulder behind your wrist to press your opponent to the pad.
All right, guys, so back to the top of the hill, high hook, all the fundamentals: rise, cut, pronation, inside your body. Posting top roll is much more about rise and containment, and then back pressure. And then we've got sweeping top roll, which is rise and containment, but this time you're going to hit to the side. And then low hand top roll is more about drag and cup, and then you're going to finish with pronation to the side. And then open top roll, much more about back pressure, rise, and containment, and less shoulder commitment. And then finally, the King's move, no containment, more pronation and rise, and it can't really be performed without a strap, and that is why we slip.
All right, guys, and now we're going to get into some of the transitions. So the most famous probably is the can opener, as you can see Devon performing so beautifully here. And basically, you're going to transition from H2 on the hill, which is your hook and drag, over to T3, which is your low hand top roll. And this is a great example here against the great John Brzenk. The next one is the King's move.
The King's move is from KM to P2, where you've got your opponent extended, you're going to test his side pressure, and then you're going to come up and finish with a press.
And Todd is obviously the most famous for that one.
Yeah.
And then finally, the best transition of all time is just high posting top roll to shoulder press, and nobody does it better than the great John Brzenk. This is probably my favorite example of it, with Marcio elbow fouling all over the place. Brzenk doesn't care, jumps into that shoulder press, and he is the boss. All right, guys, so that's a basic breakdown of the hill. And basically what's happening is from the high hook, which is, again, all your fundamentals: rise, cut, pronation, inside your body. From there, fundamentals start to be either given up or you commit to other ones more, like you stack into another component more. So going down the hook side, it's less about your hand and becomes more about your shoulder until you get to the flop press, where you're giving up your hand completely in order to get your shoulder fully committed, right?
So going down the top roll side, you're giving up your shoulder to gain more hand control, to the point where at your King's move, you've got zero shoulder commitment. Your arm is almost fully extended, and all you care about is maintaining your rise and your pronation.
Yeah, so it's down to even just two components in the hand at that point.
Yeah.
So as we've analyzed these positions on the hill, and as you can see by this diagram, we've started to name them. So your hooks are H1, H2, H3. Your presses are P1 and P2. Top rolls T1, T2, T3, and T4. And then the King's move, just a solid KM, because it's that lonely black sheep out there that nobody wants to talk about.
Is it really a move? Should be allowed?
I don't even know if it's on the hill. But the point is that as we start analyzing matches and we start giving, like, okay, Devon is in H1 right now, and Michael is responding with KM, and then they're transitioning here, and we start actually listing out the matches by the moves, it becomes like you can analyze the match on a totally different level and start to see mistakes you wouldn't have.
You could start to create a game report and analyze where you made the wrong transition and what move you should have gone to instead of that, and why that played exactly into your opponent's hands.
So we're going to look at that in another video next week, so keep your eyes out for that. Leave some feedback in the comments and let us know what you think about this idea. If you use Devon'S Hill,
comment, subscribe,
all those things. Make sure to share, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Monkeys out.